Okay, cool. Welcome, guys. I don't even know what to call this, first and foremost, but I realised that T-Bone is like 5 minutes around my house. So I was like, hey, we need to meet up. We need to talk PUBG and PNC. And to be funny, actually, I was talking to Michael about this. Michael sent me his jersey and paid for postage. And it was after that I realised how close she was. Like, you could have said, just given it to T-Bone. I could have
grabbed it off me, yeah.
So obviously, guys, couple of foremost, we don't have a name for this at the moment. We are going to test this out. We're going to throw this out to the community. We want you guys to give us feedback. We plan to do more of these. This is like super close to our house as well. So we plan to do a lot more about this. And the kind of agenda for today is we want to look back at like 2024 and what 2024 was for PUBG Esports, and then really kind of look forward to what's coming, what hasn't changed. We've got loads of topics in between. We've got loads of questions that have come through on the laptops as well from Reddit and also Twitter now, which is great. We'll try and cover some of them. But I suppose let's just get into, the hooks and the crooks of it. So PUBG 2024, it was the first year where we actually changed the LAN format. And this is what the guy said to us. You get one opportunity to qualify, but you were going to go then for 2 LANs. So we had 3, 4, and then 5 and 6. I suppose, let me just ask you some questions as a player. Like the first thought process, obviously there's some excitement that you're going to qualify and you could potentially do for 2 LANs, right? So there's positives behind this format, but then there's also massive negatives that, as in the EMEA region, we've only got 2 slots. So let's just talk about how hard as a player it is to even qualify for this sort of thing.
So, a lot of topics for there, but right. So PGS basically, it's, as a player, non-GPT, I'll start from that perspective first. I would say it's very daunting. You got 2 slots only, and then you're playing against teams that are already qualified to the event, FaZe, GPTs, whatever, Navi, Twisted Minds, and you're just thinking to yourself, okay, lads, we've got two slots. If we don't make it, then we're sitting out for 4 months. That kind of in the back of your mind all the time. But overall, I'd say there is a bit of excitement at the same time, because if you do make it, like you say, you've got 2 LANs you can go to, and then you've got 2 attempts to, first one maybe take a little bit of time, warm up, get used to the global teams, and then the second one you can hit it hard. I would say overall it's not bad, but there's also the big disadvantages of going against GPTs, which have the extra confidence and know they've already made it.
Yeah, they've got that guaranteed slot, haven't they? So they are definitely going to be in no matter what. And let's keep on our region, because, we've only got 2 slots. So, exactly. For esports, Ascend, grinding out hard, you guys getting close, missing it by a slot. But you're right, missing half a year, that there's a big question about this. Now, I'm hoping this year, so this quickly snapshot, and this is, again, super skyball thinking, they actually released a roadmap like November time, December time, right?
Did, yeah.
So I'm hoping this year, compared to 2024, when they didn't launch it until I think it was February, March time, when we kind of got an idea.
Yeah, really late, yeah.
It was super late. So no one was able to plan grassroots events. So I'm hoping maybe this year, yes, we've still got the same format that we're going into, but actually we might have some grassroots that actually, because if you're playing for a big team like Foot or Ascend and you don't qualify, you're not making your money. So then you've got that added pressure to actually, you come to the second half of the year and you're like, oh my God, we need to perform even more. Yeah. And 2 slots is not getting any wider. So there's a level of pressure, and I suppose an element for self-doubt. Like, are you taking the time off? I suppose you're questioning yourself as a player, as a teammate. Do I have the right team? I don't think we saw as many transfers as I would have expected, though, in 2024. But I do think it is a bit of a grey area.
Yeah, well, there was plenty of chances for people to still qualify. If you do good in one, then you still have a chance to qualify to PGC, for example. So that's why we probably didn't see that many roster changes. I would say as well, with the whole PGS format, it's, how do I explain this? It's really, in some ways it's good, but in some ways it's bad in that sense, right? I don't know how to really, for us and Ascend, for example, it's I don't know how to put this, Mark.
It's hard in the context because you guys were so close.
It's so close. We missed it by 1 slot twice.
Yeah.
So for us, it's absolutely brutal. You're so close to making it there, and boom, you don't make it. Oh, this is what I wanted to say as well. You don't make it, and then not only do you not get to play for a month or 2 because the LANs, then you're not practicing against them other 5 teams. Yeah. So then half your lobby and practice is gone. Yeah. So that's another thing what really sucks.
Big shout out to PUBG EU scrims, actually, one of the biggest discords. And this is what T-Bone's talking about, and I get to cast sometimes, is normally when you have a super stacked lobby, you're playing against the best. And it's not like a LAN, there are obviously more variables, but you're playing against the best in the world in our region at the time. And then obviously, because the Americans have a better time zone, they can come play ours and then kind of do theirs as well. So they get the added bonus that they actually get to practice against you guys. But you're right, because if people have qualified and they've gone, and look at the time now, since November, December, January, we still really haven't got, it's the first week, second week of Jan now, we still really haven't got the teams returning back to scrimming, so to speak.
Yep, exactly.
We'll come on to some of the teams that are scrimming at the moment because they are trialing out players, clearly. But no one's really returned back. So that's still, 3 months now, maybe even 4 months, depends on how far we go into February. But actually, teams are not back on the agenda. And when do you get practice in for the year? Because yet again, you've got to qualify via our regional format to get to LANs. It's a bit.
It's definitely hard. It's hard to balance it all as a non-GPT, as I said. You know, you got to feel for everyone was not GPT and struggling to go through that. I would say as well that overall, it's because the GPTs have more I would say leeway in that sense. You know, they can come back when they want. You know, maybe Twisted Minds might come back in 2 weeks. FaZe might come back in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really not that much practice because then we got to play opens, groups, whatever, and they can just sort of relax. They know they're qualified. I know there's PGC points on the line, but it's a lot easier in that sense for them.
It is difficult, and they are guaranteed slots. So GPT is obviously global partner teams for people that don't know. And we will talk about this in a bit, but the global partner teams, they're guaranteed slots, these big events, so they can play the regionals however they want to, and they get invited in at certain stages. So yes, they might not play the group stage, the qualifiers, and they might not play the initial group stage, but they might play a little bit later on in the group stage, or they get invited into the last section, which is they can come in and literally do anything they want to do. And for someone that might have a drop spot that's been working and you guys are qualified, playing all the random teams, because open qualifiers are tough, right?
Really tough.
You don't know who the teams are, who you're playing against. They won't know your drop zone. They've got no, let's put it in a better word, they've got no etiquette to the PUBG Esports. And in trying to deal with that is difficult because if you don't make it on one day, that's it. You're done. You're not going to get through. So it is difficult. Would you like to see more teams maybe making it through to a group stage? Do you think the group stages should be bigger? So like the FUT Esports, maybe the Ascends, maybe the bigger names, VPs, etc. That you don't need to go through open qualifiers, because look at Mad Balls. VP before VP, there were Mad Balls and they had to qualify through. The WOOT had to qualify through. They got through, which is great, but one event means you're out for 4 months again. So would you prefer to see more teams earlier on, or would you rather just everyone have to go through the same system, or the known names to just appear later?
So it's really hard. Opens is another kettle of fish, basically, right? It's tough. I've had to do it before when I was in Heroic, obviously, and I qualified through Opens more or less that whole year, apart from one of the last tournaments. So it is really tough. I don't really know there's a correct way to do it, unfortunately.
You're always going to upset someone, aren't you?
Yeah, you're always going to upset someone. I think the regional group stuff is okay right now. I kind of don't mind it. But again, it comes back to you're playing versus teams that they already got chance to qualify to PGC through PGSs, you know?
Yeah.
So if they sort of remove that and they had to play well in the regionals to qualify to PGC, then I would say it would be a lot more balanced. Whereas, you know, right now they can just Twisted Minds qualified through PGS. The last PEC, for example, they didn't even have to turn up. They could just not turn up, and then they would have qualified still.
Yeah, it's quite difficult. It's good at the beginning of the year, isn't it? Because everyone's kind of a clean slate, and you're kind of battling our way through to figure out who the hell is going to make it. But then, obviously, later on in the year, we do get those confirmed slots. I would have liked maybe Sonics to win, so we would have gone to globals, to global champions at the end of the year with maybe Sonics with 2, Twisted Minds with 2. But obviously, Twisted Minds decided other options to run away with 3. But that's impressive. Big shout out to them, because the ability to bag 3 back-to-back wins is insane. And I think that was a little bit of their downfall, actually, when it came down to globals. And I'd love to catch up with Twin and Sasha to talk more about it. But they were on a winning streak. And I felt like going into the end of the year, it was not all eyes on Twisted Minds, but it felt like it was everyone versus Twisted Minds, because I think the expectation was so high for them to win the final event of the whole year, but they fell short. And is it the dealing under pressure? Have they now conquered the PGS scene? Is it PGC a different ball game? I know you guys as players said that actually globals is a different kettle of fish.
It is different, yeah. I mean, obviously, from experience, I didn't IGL before in a global, and we flopped out because I didn't have the experience. But going back to Twisted Minds, I actually think, I disagree with a lot of people. I actually think they played pretty decent in this PGC. I actually think they got really unlucky circles.
100%.
Mostly through the tournament. And if you actually look at the scoreboard, they finished in 8th place, right? It was still 30 points above 9th place.
Yeah.
And then that 8th to, first was only like a 20, 30 point difference. I actually think they actually played pretty good. They did make a few mistakes. If they would have got a little bit luckier with the circles, day 1, day 2, they get that confidence, even though I don't think they need it.
No, not at all.
I don't think Twisted need it. But I think they a little bit more luck, and they would have been, up there winning that tournament again.
It's such a good team. Yeah. They are well refined. I think visually from
leagues ahead, in my mind, leagues ahead of everyone else.
And I think it's the only event really I could make. I'm going to say cracks. I don't think cracks is the right word, but and again the camera people showed it. So from a viewer, obviously I wasn't talent at all last year for it, but watching, we could see them smashing the table and getting frustrated. And is that a sign? I know they're a team that can kind of reset, but I do think everyone is looking towards them about how do they perform, how do they act, how do they carry themselves in events. I'm really interested to see what they do this year. I don't expect any changes for them. I know we're going to Roster Royale a bit later, because I do like this time of year because it is Roster Royale. We are changing players everywhere. I can't see that team changing. I can see them re-hitting this year again. Expectations would be high for them to get more results. Org must be happy with them. They obviously they clearly sorted out. Let's talk about EWC actually, because EWC was the first event where we didn't have that losers bracket or lower bracket, and they didn't qualify.
Yep.
They kind of like running through that. So I like that they've already adapted to that. So I think they're an adaptable team. I do think everyone is looking for them this year. I'd be keen if you could take any team on to take on Twisted Minds, and you can't say PUBG Esports, right? Because that's biased, right? One of the desks becoming biased. Who would you put up against a Twisted Minds as it stands?
Honestly, I put Twisted Minds above everyone by far. But if I had to put a team that could contend with them, let's see.
Any region, could be any region.
Any region. Oof, this is a tough one. Who really impressed me? Honestly, no one really impressed me that much to contend with them. Obviously, we had PGC TE win, but I think they got extremely lucky, so I wouldn't even put them up. Cerberus was a flop earlier on the year. They would have been,
Just think about it. Who remembers Cerberus winning the first event?
Exactly. They would have been up there earlier in the year, but oh man, it's tough. Honestly, Na'Vi was playing well, but went off the charts again.
And there is rumours, we can talk about this now, because there are rumours that Diffix is leaving that team.
Yeah.
And they are trialling with an unknown name as well. So that kind of, there's rumours, and then you kind of watch them in the scrims. I think that's a big loss for them. There clearly might be something other going on behind the scenes, but they did really drop off. They did something happen in that event. I think there's a big question around Na'Vi. I like the Diffix and Hakatori. I think that dangerous duo was good. The little bromance I said. I feel like him going, who can fill those shoes. He was high performing as well.
I was really, really surprised. Let me just say that. I don't know anything, so this is just all rumours, speculation, just to make it clear. I do not know anything. But I was really, really surprised to see Diffx potentially leaving, and instead of, I personally thought Sosa D would be leaving, personally. That's
difficult.
what I thought. Because, I've seen Diffx, and he's been absolutely dominating recently, in my eyes. I think he's been playing really well, so that was a big surprise for me.
We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, nothing's officially announced by them, but you get the telltale signs. They're trying, they're scrimming with another team. He might be off. There's all the rumours that are flying around online. Yeah, it's a big question. I'll tell you one team that I might, maybe not this year, because we're in 2025 now, put up against Twisted Minds. But it's a bit of an outside bet, and I know people won't like this. And Gibson Cast is going to kill me for this. I think TSM.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
I've got two, right? A TSM, number one. if you look at them through the year, yes, they haven't got the top performance they wanted, but have consistently always been there. They made every single event. Now, they've dropped their coach, okay? So do they make I think there'd be all eyes on them this year. Actually, how much of an impact was he having onto the team, etc.? I don't know the behind the scenes, and again, they might be changing or going to a different way, which is totally fine. But I would put TSM from a consistency point of view. I'd also put VP up there. And I do want to talk about VP because they arguably have been performing quite well. I think they've adapted quite well. Okay. Scream, the coach, is great. I had a great interview with him. He was really, really nice to talk to, and he's a great person in the community. What was he? Offie Mabel, second PEC Spring. They've done fourth in PGS 4, and they came fourth in PGC, right?
PGC, yeah.
Beamy with the pickup. I know, you know Beamy, you played together.
Yeah,
I think he sits really well. I've seen some stuff online about, do they potentially change another player and become a fragging team? Do they need the full IGL piece? I don't know. I kind of like VP. I kind of like TSM for a potential as an up-and-coming team for this year. Like, I definitely feel VP have proven their point. And rightfully so, they picked up, obviously, Mabels were picked up by VP. Like, they've got to be a strong contender coming into this year.
I think they're a little bit shaky, don't get me wrong. I think they did really good circles day one, gave them a massive confidence boost in PGC. So I think they might have overperformed a little bit, but since taking Beamy, you know, he's really good at kill feed. That's one thing he used to excel at in our team, even when he was playing with me. Extremely good at keeping track of like what's happening in the server, who's how many alive in each team, etc., etc. So I think that's really helped them and should help them with their consistency too. But I think next year we've got to see how consistent they are, honestly, and go from there. Now, back to TSM. TSM is the team, actually, that if now I think about it, that I would put as a contender to Twisted.
A strong team, aren't they?
Strong team. I really respect Purdy. He's put in a lot of work, you know. Since adding Spark into that team seemed to, you know, excel extremely. So, and about the coach, I'm not sure. Never really had any interaction with Wooly, so don't know how much he put in. So we'll see how that balances out, and if they take a second guy or what's happening with that. But
they might even go without a coach, right?
Yeah,
they might go analyst. I know there's a lot of talk about analyst staff compared to coaching, and because there's a lot that goes behind the scenes, and some of the advantages for the bigger orgs, they've got the analysts, right? They sit and they run stats and facts. I do think TSM, they are, and is it because people are not always watching them? But even 2024, like, and if they're watching, big shout TSM, you guys are performed, right?
Yeah.
And this is not in any way a disrespect, but people weren't fully watching TSM. The Americas region, always talking about them, they were good. But I felt like they kind of creeped through 2024. TSM,
gradually.
They made it again. They made it again. You're like, at what point did I actually turn around and go, actually, TSM are...
It's because they've been gradually stepping. They've been gradually improving as the year's been going on.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I feel like, plateaued somewhat in America's region. And TSM's just gradually... consistent improvement that I've seen, at least, and you know, I think it's showing for them. They've done really well. What is it? Second place PGC, third place PGS 6, EWC, fourth PGS 4, fourth.
Oh, like
that's pretty insane.
Top 5 performances.
That's pretty insane, to be honest with you. So
obviously, you got the question about 3, you got a question for 5. But generally speaking, EWC massive event, PGC massive event, and they got through for now from a PGS 4 and 6 point of view. Their performance is good. So
really good. Yeah.
Interested in the change of the coach. I want to see what happens with them this year. Obviously, best of luck. Be keen to find out a little bit more about how that kind of works out. But we can talk about format for a long time, because when we can talk about Twisted Minds, because let's be honest, Twisted Minds kind of swept through 2024, right? I think Expendables, there's some talk and conversation around how they got on the last day, that big jump up, but it is what it is. They did conquer at the very, very end. I'll be biased to the end. I like the EMEA region. I have to back it. I want to talk format for 2025. So we are doing exactly the same, okay? They obviously released it. There was a typo. They released it again. But give or take, we have a general eat, sleep, rave, repeat. It's exactly the same as what we've done before. So our expectations are we're going to have PEC, PAS, hopefully around that kind of March, April time again. We're going to see some 18 qualify. There's no confirmation on slots yet. There is rumours that we're going to lose a slot in the EMEA region. There's 2 on the website at the moment. What will be is tough. And obviously we've already mentioned about that. Obviously, PEC is our route in, realistically. Now I want to talk about the EMEA region on the 2025 format. And this, Gibson's going to tell me I'm biased. We have the strongest region, I believe.
By far.
And I'm going to back that with the context that we have a lot more teams in the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and they're always scrimming against each other. And arguably, most scrim lobbies, maybe the Game 6 is a bit of a throwaway, but most scrim lobbies are quite balanced. Yes, we have a team that is outperforming. Yes, we have a team that's underperforming. But generally speaking, that mid-pack, I feel like us as a mid-pack are strong. Mm-hmm. But that's going to make it harder for you guys because you need to do the same again. Like, as a player, what are you prepping now? How are you going to take route into 2025?
Well, for us, it's been 2024 was a tough year, so we start off with that. But how to prepare to 2025? First, you got to see your mistakes. 2024, you got to look back. You got to review. We made a lot of them. No, don't get me wrong. Like me personally, I even made a lot of mistakes. So evolving in that sense, but preparation has to be start scrimming, figure out your game plan. How you're going to attack it, what's your overall strategy, and then you just got to go week in, week out improvements, like we've seen TSM last year, and that's all you can do. Try to be as consistent as possible because you only get one shot. You got to try to get them 2 slots, maybe 1. Who knows? That's the rumor.
Scary rumor.
I tell you what, if it is 1, it is going to be absolutely brutal, and I would see a lot of orgs leaving. Let me just say that.
Do you think we'll see people transition to other regions? Like we'll see. Let's talk about Michael, because Michael's playing NA region, right? Do you think we'll see more from the EMEA region going? Look, we've only got 1 slot. It's tough.
Possibly.
Move across.
I'm still waiting. Just as a little side note, deviation here. I'm still waiting for an EU player or let's say 2 players or something to go to like Korea region.
We always go America, so we don't go
make like a Korean or Asian team hybrid, that would be kind of cool.
That's difficult though, because I feel like we have a middle set game stuff, and again, I do talent, so I look down on you guys, right? So I can only talk about what I see, right? Yeah. But you guys have the ability to be defensive. We have aggressive players. We have a balanced. I'd say we have a balanced region, right? Yeah. We can hold a compound if we want to. We can hold space. We can push, and we can take great rotation paths in. Mm-hmm. Americas has always been very known for being very aggressive. Yeah. They will just go for a knock crash, that kind of old school.
I think that's just a weaker region. I think the bottom half of that team is like worse than group stage EMEA teams.
And this has come out a lot online, right? And I think the gap between top tier in the Americas region and low tier, there's a gap, right? Yeah. And obviously, lucky the top tier do come scrim with us. And then we have like the APAC region, China, Vietnam, all of that region, they play hyper aggressive.
Crazy aggressive.
It's mad. How do you deal with that?
It is very different. I think EMEA can actually learn a little bit from the Asian region. Like sometimes you just got to crash a compound. EMEA, they just hide. They just try to survive.
Don't say that. We're going to get blasted.
Sometimes their only players to crash a compound, they just refuse to do it. Don't know why, but maybe that's something that most teams in EMEA can look into. But yeah, I honestly, each region has their own strengths and weaknesses, and as you said, EMEA is the most balanced in my eyes.
I think we do sit in the middle. It'd be really interesting if players did go the other way, though. I would be intrigued to see if we do see EMEA players play in the APAC region,
I think it'd be really good. EMEA mindset, like an IGL plus someone else, go in there and leading a team in a Korea APAC. I think it could work really well, actually. Really, really well.
T-Bane's moving to Thailand next. That's what he's saying. Cool. So format's the same, give or take. So we've got the EWC, we've got the end of the year, we've got the double lands, we're going to have the qualification. So there's no change. There is a change though, because there is this looming rumours. Not even rumours, because it is happening. There is a TPP regional Master Series format that they are kind of going to be thrown out there. Now, my logic is, I know there's a lot of different opinions about this. First and foremost, there is a lot of noise about this. Oh my God, they can't do this. This is terrible. This is a bad idea. Yep. There has to be figures behind it. They must be doing it for a reason. I know people will be laughing at me and saying, PUBG just do things on a whim. And they sometimes do, right? But there must be stats and facts behind why they're doing it. Yep. I would like that if there is a big number of it, and even as what I play, I don't like playing TPP. I never play TPP. I moved away from console because I don't like playing TPP, and that is a TPP world. Yep. I would like to see it as an additional to the FPP, personally. But the rumours are that it is going to take over. Can you see PUBG eventually taking over full TPP and FPP is not a thing anymore?
I think it's inevitable that we're going to transition fully to TPP, in my eyes. From what I've seen and what the CEO's been saying and stuff, I think there will be a full transition.
That's scary.
Not this year, obviously, because they've already released a roadmap. Maybe next year or the year after, or somewhere around there. But I do think that FPP will be gone.
That's scary. See, I'm the other side to you. I think they still keep FPP, but I think there is a market for TPP. I do think there is a market, and there must be numbers behind it. There must be people streaming. There must be people playing it.
It's definitely the bigger, as I said. I've told you before the podcast started. It's definitely a bigger portion of players playing that TPP, and they see as you know, maybe we can get more people into the esports scene if ranked, for example, TPP rank is the same as, you know, the tournaments, and then anyone could join. And I think that's what we see by this new format they're going to add in, the new event where it's like a weekly qualifier into a final and so what, and it's all going to be in TPP. I think that's where we're transitioning to.
I like that format though. I do like that format.
The format is good.
I do like that format. And this is, there's no backing, there's no evidence to this, but my logic was when ranked came around, it was kind of that piece. It was, they were trying to take casual players to the esports scene, because if you look at the stats and numbers from the viewership and the events, they were trending down. So I think they kind of brought ranked in to try and boost esports back up. I don't think it kind of worked out. I think ranked has a place personally. Maybe this is another attempt that they're trying to go, hey, do you know what? And I think even the scary thing is that, are they going to part ways with console? Can console handle the PUBG and the updates that's coming? Are they trying to maybe draw in that crowd of people to go, hey guys, you can still play your game, you can play with your mates, but you get ranking. And guess what? If you get enough ranking, you can play some kind of competitive, and you might appear on the PUBG channel, and trying to give people that taste of
I just think they did it totally wrong to start. I think they should have introduced ranked and made it exactly the same as tournaments from the get-go. Boom.
As in this format that we're seeing here.
Well, yeah, if they would have launched it, but like with this event, for example, this TPP event, I think it's actually pretty good. Have it in the game, so it's like fully in the game, integrated. You can sign up from in the game. Dota does it, for example, and other games like that. I think Fortnite does it as well, that you sign up from in the game, and then just do the same as open qualifiers through that, you know, have it broadcast in the game on the screens, or, you know, banners and stuff. I still don't understand, on a side note as well, how we don't have an esports tab permanently in the game. If they wanted esports to grow, that's an easy way to do it, but
I think that's because there's two big divisions in there. There's PUBG and there's PUBG Esports. And I think for me, this is the conversation, is how, and I think I hope they're trying to piece it together. So there's one big esports / PUBG. It's just a big craft and community, because they do have the new game. Obviously, they've got Project Arc on the pending now. And I really enjoyed that. And that's obviously top-down games. That's a completely different aspect. But I think you're right. Embedding it into the game, into the UI, will engage with people. And it might even be just 1 week that these guys and girls go, oh, let me just try and sign up. There's 4 of us on today. Let's give it a go. And that there, I think, is a positive. So I do see positives. I do worry about it. I am an FPP guy.
Same.
Like through and through. I wouldn't like to see it go. What will be, will be. I think there's more. I think we'll cover this. If we do more of these, I think we'll cover this, because it is all just what's online at the moment. And there is nothing else really about that until it sort of starts to appear. So I'm keen to kind of see that. Regional, obviously, PC, PAS we spoke about. I just want to talk, and really kind of sort of sum up the second half really, is I want to look at this year in global partner teams, the GPT teams. Obviously, we've got the performance from last year. I think this is the year, there were some rumours last year they were going to review it. I think they would want to give it 2 years, because now we're 2 years in the running. We expanded it last year, right, so we've got some more. I think the number's about right, but I do think they've got some questions, right? Who's going to drop, who's going to go? And I think me and you are on the same wavelength here. I think it should be performance-led. And if we look at performance, unfortunately, you've got to question the great team as FaZe. You've got to potentially question Navi's last performance as well. Arguably, the first half of the year was not too bad. Sonic's dropped off at the very, very end there as well. And the rumours about Sonic's, we'll talk about in a second a bit more. Twisted Mind, Secure, like day trades, like Petrichor Road, like what do they do? Are these can you see these teams dropping out and new blood coming in, or do you think we're gonna see the same 10 names again? 4AM as well, like they've done nothing really. This year.
So it's not performance based, let's just get that. It's how big the org is. 90%. There is some performance, I'm sure they do account for that, but I personally see maybe a little change up this year, because we have seen teams like Gen G do pretty bad consistently, you know.
Highest performance for them was 4th this year.
So
in
you know,
series.
we will see that. Then maybe they're going to add more teams, you know, possibility. Don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't really think they're going to change any Chinese teams. I think in EU, maybe they change maybe one. Twisted Minds, no chance. They're staying, you know. So that would be from FaZe or Na'Vi. Possible, probably not. The Americas region, there is rumours, as we said. Sonics, unknown about that as well. But
let's talk about them, because obviously not everyone might know about it. So Sonics, my logic is at the moment, I know there's been going to put some stuff out and the guys haven't said anything, so this is completely speculation, guys. But when you look at some of the other titles and Sonics is dropping teams and other titles or being purchased out by other, you have to then question the PUBG. Now, Sonics through and through have been with PUBG for a long time. I kind of feel like a org is going to come in and buy Sonics, but I think they'll only buy Sonics or the roster of Sonics or they're transferred to another roster if they get global partner team. I feel like if they don't get global partner team, I think Sonic Store exists as Sonics, but it might not be the big org that we see and know today.
I think Sonics is the one example where it's kind of a smaller org, and I think they can be dropped instantly. I think, you know, as the rumours go, I don't know anything, but I do see that whole Sonics roster gone and possibly under a new org, which will then get GPT.
I can see that. That's logical to me. Don't get
Maybe
me wrong.
a bigger org, you know, who we got? You know, there's loads of orgs out there, big orgs that still ain't in the game. You've also got, you know.
Let's talk, because we've got the Falcons, org out there that potentially could. There's obviously rumours that they've lost players there. There's nothing been officially confirmed from them, so we can't really talk too much about that. But there's rumours there. They could go. I'd love to see like a Team Liquid come back. They could pick up, but then I think they'll maybe pick players from other teams where they've got connections for and put them in the Sonics. But that could be a kind of makeshift team that could be really good.
That'd be a good talking point, actually. Now, if they add teams, Team Liquid, for example, I think this will be a huge mistake by PUBG. I think they should make a rule that you have to be in the game 1 year, 2 years supporting before you even have a chance to get GPT. Because that team makes teams like Foot, for example, some of the Chinese teams, New, Happy, all this. They're thinking, this team's just jumped in front of us. We've been here 4 years, paying our players, doing this, etc. So I think that would be a huge, huge mistake by PUBG if they end up taking, for example, Team Liquid. I know they've been in before, but they've been out for, 3-4 years now. Crazy,
yeah.
So hopefully we don't see that, because there will be no point of having anyone like Foot, for example, in the games, EIQ, all these smaller orgs. There'll be just no point.
There's no time served.
Yeah.
There's no reward. Yeah. It's dangerous. Again, it's all rumours, all speculations, but I can kind of see them. You've got Na'Vi, obviously with the change, we spoke about that. Do they hold on to it? I can. FaZe for me is the one. FaZe's performance last year was okay. They're good at killing. They can get kills, they can get points from killing, but the actual placement stuff, and there's an argument to say, yes, they're not getting the zones, but arguably, I think PGS might be one of the better performances. They kind of run it together there, but the series, the global series, just there were kills, but they're getting zoned out, they're getting controlled, they're getting in their heads. It's difficult. Like, I love the team. I think they're great.
Yeah, I do too.
I'd be sad to see them go, but if they go from a global partner team, does that mean we get an additional slot back? There's advantages there. There's a lot to be said, but arguably for me, some of the big highlights which I highlighted on here is Na'Vi last performance on the global series 24th. That's poor, not great, bombing out really. Sonic's obviously the same, 22nd place for them. I think there's some big questions around that. 17 Gaming done well coming towards the end. Twisted Minds all the way through. Genji, you mentioned, really bad performance.
Really bad this whole year, more or less. They had a few decent in career, but I think overall it's bad.
Now they're looking for a whole new team. So I think they're addressing that. Who, what, where? Did they purchase another team?
Crazy.
I think there's a lot of variables. I think the global partner stuff, I think, is key to keep an eye on. Obviously, I know you guys will be applying for it. There's other teams that will be applying for it. I would be surprised if VP are doing the same. There's an argument also to say, well, you're right. If Team Liquid does come in, G2 comes in with no track records and just appears straight in for X amount. They've not been around for X amount of years. It is a kick in the teeth, really, when it comes down to some of these other orgs.
Yeah,
so
anyone,
it will be disappointing to see. Roster Royale, because it is in full swing at the moment. I think there's a lot more to be said. Obviously, Beamy moved from US across to VP. That was the end of last year. I think that was a good move from them. That was a good pick from them. I think that does secure that spot. Let's just talk our region. VP, can you see them make any changes?
I thought they might make a change until they did forfeit PGC, and then I don't think they will.
I think you're right. I think they will sit.
Yeah,
I think there's no argument to say.
They'll play the first and see if their consistency has improved. So I think they're solid.
Upward trajectory. Ascend obviously parted ways with their coach Koho, great guy, but he's still doing all of the social media for them as well. Yeah. Do you think they're going to make any changes? Because they had some really up and down performance, and actually, Koho, I call it Big Brain Koho, but he kind of pieced that team together. Can they do it on their own? Do you think they need to make a big change there?
I think there was a clash, maybe. Clash. How much was Koho actually affecting? Did they listen to him? I don't know for sure, but I don't think they need to make a change. I just think they need to, brutally honest, fix their play style. I think it's messy.
Like the outside edge.
Yeah, I think it's messy, and they just need to really figure out exactly what they want to do. I always thought that sometimes they just have no clue and they're doing like different things. But if they could sort that out, I think they could be decent with the same team. Obviously, Payne's just joined them recently before the last tournament. So I think they will stay the same. Yeah.
We're not going to too much detail. You guys, Pixel though, good pick up. Like the guy, I think he's a legend. I think he's going to bring a different game style to you guys. You guys, historically, from my side, have sat back sometimes, and I'd actually say some teams have actually slept on you before. They've been over the ridge and they've just completely forgot that you existed. But then you guys will come over and just destroy them. Yes, you have a lot of zone, unfortunately, trying to rotate in. So your game style, I think, will be interesting. I think he's a good pick up. I think he would change how you guys play. And I don't want you to leak anything if we're going into it. So we keep foot out there at the moment, because it's not about foot. This is about you. FaZe. Let's talk FaZe.
FaZe.
Big team.
Big team.
Do you think they need a change? Let's talk players before game start.
I think they could do with a change, but I think they will stay the same if they keep GBT.
No change if GBT.
Yeah.
Okay. If they lose GBT,
I think they would change.
How many players? You don't have to give me a name. How many players? Do you
One or two.
Okay, so you think it could be 50% of a roster could change up?
Possibly.
Okay, interesting. I think they could lose one.
Yeah.
I think they could lose one. I'm not going to say who, but I think they could lose one, because that's sometimes a refresh you need. Sometimes you get set in your ways.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? For example, I'll just go back to this. We had Beamy on our team, It got to the point that it wasn't mutually, beneficial. I was a little bit mad because we didn't qualify, so I might have went over the top in some ways.
Back to the format.
Beamy knows. But he's a good player, But I think that he needed that boom kick, kicking the balls, as they say, to really start elevating his play again, which I think he has.
He performed well,
So I actually think it was like a really mutually beneficial, kick. Obviously,
the kick we love.
Kick we love. Obviously, I've always said, Beamy's insane.
Yeah.
He just needs that boom mentality-wise, kicking the balls, and he's good to go. Obviously, we then took Nail Up, big mistake, didn't work out for our team. Love the guy.
He had to see out his contract anyway. He's now looking for team.
Just didn't work out. Basically, simple as that. And now Pixel, and I think Pixel for us makes it our team 20 times better.
He has the ability to play passive and aggressive, and that's what I like about him. When that crash in the compound, go back to your crash in the compound. He's the guy that will drive a crash of compound. Yeah. So I am interested to see, and I think he would be on a radar from people to be picked up. Like if it was ever to come up, he's
really good. He's really surprised me. I think our team, since we only had him 2 weeks before that last PC, and I think our team has improved a lot. Especially me individually as well, like mentality-wise and how I think and how the whole team is structured and thinks.
Yeah.
I think we've made massive strides and improvements, so I'm hoping to improve on that next year.
We obviously mentioned VP. Again, I can't see no change really on the VP side.
Na'Vi next.
Na'Vi will be the next big one. Obviously, the rumour is Diffix is going. And without it being officially announced, because nothing's been officially announced yet, guys, but they are scrimming with another person, which we don't know who that is. You kind of have to piece sometimes the puzzle together, right? And that's the why I like being a caster.
For me,
you get to look on the top side. Yeah. Who would you put on? Let's go. What player would you replace Diffix with? Because we know he's a crap player, right?
It's hard. This one's hard. I actually don't know. The only player that I could actually see is Boostic.
I think so.
He just turned 18. Will it work? Is that the only player that can change? I don't think there is anyone else. You maybe got someone from BB, But I kind of think BB wants to stay together. Maybe I don't know.
We actually mentioned BB. I think that's a good point.
Because
always there.
They had obviously they qualified, but then they've come. Was it second to last?
Second to last, man.
Yeah,
and they were struggling.
They were really struggling.
Is it a TSM thing where we're going to continue to see them now this year, constantly getting through? Mm-hmm. I think they're a good team. I think they're underrated. I do think they get dealt a bad blow sometimes when it comes down to rotations and stuff like that. But that's just part of PUBG. Everyone gets dealt a bad blow. Just how do you deal with it? Do they mix that team up?
I think BB actually is one of the best teams at closing out circles in the game.
They've got to get there though.
Yeah,
that's the struggle.
That's it. They've got to get there. But once they get there, they're actually really, really, really good. Twisted Minds is like, and BB and that closing out them in-game circles are pretty close, I would say.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure about BB. BB's a 50-50. I don't really know anyone who they can change with, though. That's the problem. The talent pool seems to be going down. The only real big talented player that's coming up recently is Boostic. That's why I think maybe Na'Vi takes Boostic. Don't know for sure.
You've got two options, right? You either get someone that's up and coming, and I'm going to use Nixie as an example. He's a good player, he's always been about, but I feel like he was not really known, picked up, and then there was the whole like all eyes on him. Is he going to perform when it comes to a LAN? Mm-hmm. He performs. Now he's just elevated himself really high.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you do that, or do you take someone from another team? Both of them come with risk. Both of them come with rewards. Is there a player out there for Na'Vi? The biggest question I've got is where does Diffix go? Because
that's the thing. That's where I see if BB makes a change, why not take Diffix? I think I don't know him personally though. That's the thing. I don't know. If there's clashing personalities or whatnot. But I think Diffix was really, really insane this year, at least coming up this end of this year for Na'Vi. So I think he needs to go somewhere, and it does make sense. BB, GG maybe too.
Yeah,
forgot about them. Gaming Gladiators. They haven't been, performing the best either. They made one PGS, right? Yeah. And then after that, they just fell off. So that's a possibility too.
Big names right in Tropic. There's rumour there that they are struggling.
I mean, they did bad the whole year, right? They
expectations high, didn't perform.
For me, expectation wasn't high, be honest. But
even them, I think they had the ability to be in there at least a mid-pack team, but it didn't. It just didn't work. It just didn't work. And they were. Do you know what's really scary from my side looking down on them? They were losing like 1-on-4 fights, 3-on-1s. Mm-hmm. They were losing like 2-on-1s. Like how are you losing 3-on-1s situations? And there are some really good players out there. And yes, you guys are top tier, but you shouldn't be losing those fights in those situations.
I mean, it does happen, but then when it happens, you lose your confidence.
And I think that's the biggest downside.
You lose your confidence, you start fighting. Yeah. And it goes from there. And that's something, I've had to learn over a long period of time. You know, it doesn't matter what happens in the game. You can't change it after the fact. You just got to, that's one of the big improvements we're going to make is you can't change it. Take the game, look out for yourself, play for yourself, in the team the best you can, give 100%, and that's all you can do. If your team lost a 4v1 last game, who cares? You can't change it. Nothing.
And I think that's what the difference is Twisted Minds. I think they reset really well.
Twisted is probably the best at it. That's why they just consistently can have a terrible day, 18 points, and then suddenly their last day, they're first place.
Yeah, they reset. You can see it. They clearly reset. And they come back out.
They're really good. Yeah.
And I think there is a lot of psychology. And I think this year, again, out from the physical gaming, I think there's a lot to be said about the analysts and the psychologists that are sitting with some of these bigger orgs. And we might see these bigger orgs that have these people in there do a lot better because it's not just in the game, which is performance. I suppose for closing up, there's a lot we could talk about players moving, and there are a lot of rumours out there. I think maybe when we did the next one of this, we would have seen a lot more. I think AG, we're going to see the Vietnamese. I think that is a team. The closing statement is going to be one to watch this year because that is a stacked house. I think the problem they're going to have is what forward do they put out? Yeah, which I've not seen a PUBG team have a stacked.
Yeah, they're just stacked. We just got to wait and see what happens with them, honestly, right?
What's really dangerous, and this could be positive and negative, is that they could change their lineup, depends on how the ruling sits, right? And they could play completely different game styles and game plans per event. So really intrigued to see how that plays out, but I think they're going to be up there. I think they'll be a contender for Twisted Minds. I hate to say it, but I think they are. Other news out there. Twy at the end of 2024 was parting ways with PUBG for whatever reason. Sneak, legend, picking him up, great shout. Unexpected. I know he's got his own He's got another website where he does player stats.
Yeah.
So it kind of makes sense. I think that's really good. So I just wanted to, again, give him a shout out because I think bringing Twire back. One thing I will say, and obviously I've been working with a few others, the moment that Twire was going, a surge of other companies kind of appeared to try and not just fill the gap. And I think it's a positive. So I think Sneak's got a difficult job in his hand because Twire arguably locked out PUBG market. They were the only place that was doing tournaments. So they were the only place doing player stats. And there were other websites, but they were really not known of. The moment they said they were going, it opened the floodgates. So I think we're going to see a lot more this year. E-Wave, I think, is really, really good. And Twire, I think they're kind of the two that I'm going to use personally. Obviously, we've got op.gg. They're the official ones. But
I think it's just a money sink. That's the problem. I don't think there's a chance to really make that format make money. So it's a hard one. As when Twire was going, it would have been absolutely brutal for any team that was up and coming if they don't have their own tools, right? Luckily, we have our own tools. FaZe has their own tools. Twisted has their own tools, so that it wouldn't have affected them at all. That they're chilling. But
that's the difference between a bigger org and orgs versus your 4 mates, maybe 5 people with a coach.
Yeah, exactly. There's
a big gap, and Twire was trying to help teams, but it was at a cost, and some teams don't have the cost.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting. We will see like E-Wave maybe. I don't know about OPGG what they're going to do, but that whole situation is going to be tough, and I hope they make it work because it's really good. Twire is really, really good for any up and coming team that wants to improve.
And Sneak said it's all free. He's given all the paid tools now completely free. So I am hoping. I think it's positive. Again, it's positive there's competition for Twire now because they should level each other up.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think then by doing that, they're going to be providing great information to players for stats who don't have the in-house tools to be able to support the analytics side. Because I think this year is going to be very detailed, especially in our region. They are going to need to know. Once we get past the open qualifiers, they're going to need to know who plays where, what plays, what style, what you're likely to do, what his foot gets a knock, are they going to likely crash, are they not, type of thing. All of that's going to come from these tools. So again, if you're out there thinking about a tool, just go make it, guys. You're going to be helping the community, basically. Is there any other bits from you, T-Bone? Obviously, we kind of talked a little bit about 24. We talked about 25. There's a lot in there. Is there anything you want to cover? Is there anything?
So there was one question on Reddit, and I've got to answer him. He said,
"Should we go through the questions?
What happened to Foot? We nearly didn't make it, or was one slot off, something in the lines. Maybe I'm..."
Traditional AD 411. Hi, Mark. Foot came close last year to making international tournaments. Where does he, I'm assuming, T-Bone, think they fell short, and what they can hope / expect to see improvements on this year from them? Because there are a lot of fans out there for you. Do you have a good following?
It's a really good question, and I like this question. And throughout the year, it's been a real big learning process because I was putting in massive amounts of work in the start of the year, and I was doing most of it myself, and that was my first mistake. You just can't do it all yourself. Rotations, doing this, doing that, and I was just trying my best every day, just putting in hours of work, doing this, trying to make rotations. But it's more, you got to rely on your teammates. This is a team game. Everyone's got to be involved. You've got to trust them fully, which I do, but I've got to relinquish some power or control in my sense and just let my team thrive. Let them make the mistakes, let them, make errors and improve and just slowly go for that. And I think Pixel has really opened my eyes. Just his style of play, his atmosphere, how he carries himself, his suggestions is really, really good. Obviously, we had a hard year. We didn't make any tournament, no LAN.
It's tough.
And one placement off every single time. One placement off PGC, one placement off both PGSs.
And that's worse, right?
Absolutely
From bombing
brutal.
out to just missing.
Absolutely brutal, but I'm a firm believer of everything happens for a reason. So there was a reason why we didn't make it, and maybe it's just that growing as a person, growing as a team, which is going going to be good for us for next year. So
you kind of answer this question as well. So ZestyClose_War said he really enjoyed obviously the video you and Toby made, which is how I kind of realised how close you were, because it was a good video. I think PUBG Esports should do more of that.
Yeah, it was good.
I think it was good. Toby walking around, we were partners, good. I still feel bad for him. The one decision to push How in the last match, which denied them access to PGS 5 and 6, which we know about. We'll be interested to hear about the team spirit for 2025. What is the team spirit looking like for you guys? When are you guys going to start going for scrims? When are you guys going to start getting ready for the qualification stages? Obviously, you're going through global partner applications. All that jazz happens early on, right? Yeah. How is the team? When are you guys going to start get back on the grind?
So we sort of have to wait for the global partner thing to go through, because then we need to figure out how to practice, etc. Maybe we have to go through opens. You never know. I'll leave it at that. But to address that How thing first, and then I'll go into the other.
That was brutal, man.
It was basically a slight miscommunication. I didn't like looking at points before get matches, right? Which is my mistake. I just didn't want that in my head, and there was a slight miscommunication by us in the last game, that we had enough points. But obviously they won, overtook us 4 points.
Brutal.
It was brutal. It was a mistake on our part. We messed up. We should have pushed them. Everyone could see it. It's a lot easier when you're looking, from the stream than it is when you're actually playing. But we've addressed that, and that shouldn't happen again, hopefully. But we're going to look to start practicing soon. Just start scrimming again. Just start, from maybe next week from there.
I don't expect people to start coming back next week, to be fair.
And just start, just hammering it out. Slow, gradual improvements. That's what's going to be my motto for next year.
Cool. I don't think there's any really closing statements for me. Obviously, first and foremost, thanks to everyone last year that tuned in and watched. As I said, to plan to do more. We plan to do more of these because we are so close. I think at least if we can maybe get one in a month, we will. We need to think of a name. Game day is not the name, by the way, guys. Someone has put a question about it online. No, that's not the question. It's just we had that. So we just kind of piece this together. Again, it's your community, guys. So just feed questions into us. And we're more than happy. I think there's two sides to this. I sit on the talent side, so I'm blessed to do some of the casting and stuff, not for the majors, but for some of the regional events. And I love the EMEA region. You get to play. So there's two sides to it. So obviously, I've got a top-down view, and I get to look, but you actually get the hands-on approach as well, which I think is really good. There's a lot happening, and it's this time of year. There's a lot happening. There's a lot of variables. There's lots of movement. We won't fully know this until potentially sort of March time, because teams will have to start locking in for the end of the year. I do think there'd be a lot more transition. I think there'd be more information coming out about the TPP stuff. I think that will be coming to a bit more light. Maybe we'll get a better understanding how that feels. Let's be honest, we don't like change, right? That's just
change is always hurtful.
We don't like it, right? Yeah. But I do think embrace the TPP thing. If it's an additional, if it starts infringing on my FPP, you might see me speaking slightly differently about it. But I do like that it is in the UI. But that's it, really. Thanks, obviously, for everyone that tuned in. Thanks, everyone that be obviously like and subscribe. We will make a new channel. The plan. This is going to go out on my channel. We're going to put some stuff out on T-Bone stuff as well. We will plan to make our own channel for this as well. So again, you can kind of get just this content there. But yeah, thoughts and feelings, guys. Please let us know if you liked it. If you disliked it, let us know as well. Feedback is feedback with love. Please be with love. Hopefully I'll see you soon playing, and I get to cast you again. But that's it from us. Thank you very much for everyone, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks.
All right, let the guy know. Thank you very much. I think it was right.
It was all right. First time doing a little podcast, so definitely some improvements on my end, but I think it was all right.
It's difficult. This becomes a distraction when you have it here, but so it is all good. Let's quickly take a photo. Hold on. Right. But yeah, I just think there's a place for this if it brings value to people.
I think it was pretty good. I think I fucking stumbled a little bit in some parts.
Doesn't matter, that's the podcast,
I think it was all right. Yeah, I think it was all right.
Got to remember, this is not just about you, and I think that'd be the transition piece. This is your insight.
Yeah, I think we transition a little bit to a segment of us just yapping, and then maybe a segment of just answering questions to people.
I think
there's so many questions people want answered that they just don't understand.
Yeah.
Like that how question was a perfect example,
Yeah.
people don't understand from our point of view what actually would have happened.
And that's where the difference comes, because people will ask me questions and I'll give my opinion from what I can see top down.
Yeah.
But what I see top down arguably is nowhere near
Yeah.
what you see in the moment.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you got to remember, we're talking to people out in the environment all the time, and is that red line here? And we're giving our thoughts and feelings, and sometimes people take our thoughts and feelings as gospel when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We're only commentating on what we see in the top down. So I do think it'd be good. He hasn't answered this question. Next time we should intro a bit better as well. I didn't really think about the intro.
Yeah, I think so too.
That was last. But I think once we get a name and all that jazz
Yeah.
coming out, I'll pay that guy to edit.
Yeah.
And then we're just...
You can just poll the name. Fucking ask.
We're going to get Boaty McBoatface or something like that.
Just poll the name, get some info, ask people how they feel, what we can change and stuff. I think they'd be fine. I think there'd be a lot of info from people.
Yeah.
I think they'll like it though. Honestly, I think people have been missing something like this. Obviously, you got the Kobo podcast, but I think it's not.
But it's quite different because it's online and it's more technical.
Yeah, we just.
I don't want to be technical.
I think they're just yapping is good for people. I think they can just enjoy it.
I generally feel like there is a place for Kobo's piece and the technical piece, but then there's a lot of people out there like these questions that won't understand what Kobo is talking about.
Yeah.
We will, because we're in the environment, right? But the general, they won't know why you crashed. Like...
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Until we ask the question.
Good,
I asked him. It's... but we will strive to see... Let me just reply this. And again, do you know what the good thing is about here as well? Is I could bring someone in virtually as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you wanted to, we could virtually have someone in there as well. So I don't know if we could get Michael on or Vard or Vex or whoever, because they ain't going to travel down to us, right?
Yeah.
We could do. We could talk with Beamy and tell him to kick with love or whatever.
Kick with love.
Yeah. I think this is going to be tough, mate. I genuinely think this is going to be tough. I think they're going to make cutbacks on talent. I worry they're going to then take the cutbacks and make more cutbacks as well. So I think we'll see less of a prize pools. Which
I actually don't think so.
Do you think so?
From what I've heard, that the Chinese are going to put some fucking money in.
That'd be good. That'd be needed. There's what is it? It's the ESL website. If you look at that one, right, it shows the viewership trending down, and then the prize pool trended down with it, and then the viewership started coming up, but the prize pool hasn't followed the same route. I was going to put a tweet out about it. I think it comes out next week. That actually they might need to start backing. They need to come back in line with the numbers of viewership.
Yeah.
I like PNC. Like, it's my favourite event all year.
Oh, I love PNC.
But it's not an esports event. So why is it on the Esports Canada?
I mean, they're trying to make it really big, you know.
It could be huge. But then they don't back it enough.
This year's looking good.
They should back it more.
This year's...
Is it going to be the same place? That last studio looked wicked.
This one's going to be even bigger.
Be mad. It's same team?
Huh?
You guys go on the same team?
I guess so.
When did you find out about that?
I don't know. All I've heard is a little secret. 24 teams.
That'd be better.
And it's hosted again. First one was like a tester with Seoul sponsoring it. But this one's going to be even bigger. And it's going to be in Seoul, or it's going to be on that island. Jeju Island.
That'd be sick. But why did they only have 2 talent members there? And it baffles me. Obviously,
that I can't answer.
But baffles me as well on my side. Like, why was Elfish on PEC? Why do we have an OC cast on? Elfish is good. Elfish is really good. But I don't understand.
That's people's favourite event, and I think that's the one event all year they should spend a little bit more money.
That's what James was talking to James about. He was like, "Why can I not?"
Everyone loves that event. Everyone I've spoke to online loves PNC.
I always call you guys to try and get jerseys and stuff. Like it's the one, like, you could do merch, you could sell in game.
The problem was there was no jerseys last year.
Michael
no
said,
UK.
he said he thinks he found one. And
they had 2 total, and one guy bought one. That was there.
That's mental.
2 jerseys for UK. But
Germany bought all of theirs. So
what they need to do is have an in-game store. I've always said this, right?
In-game store.
We should have talked about this, but next time we can talk about PNC.
we can talk about it separately. It's still recorded, mate.
PNC, right? They can literally make an in-game store. You can have the jersey of each region. You have Chinese buying thousands, hundreds of thousands, and then you could even pay more and have the player's name on the back.
But they had that. But the shipping was crazy.
They should literally do that and have player sharing too.
The shipping though was more.
But have it in game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but then they need to figure out a global partner to ship out the jerseys. You know, like they have an EU hub making them and stuff like that.
They are missing a trick there.
I don't think it's that hard for them, and I think they could make good money doing it. But
They are missing a trick. I don't know. He's not appeared. Has he read the message yet? He's not ready yet. Yeah, I agree. They can monetize
there's
it
so
really
much
well.
stuff. There's so much money they can make in esports that they've just don't do, and I'm not sure why.
Because there's two sides to it, I think. There's PUBG and PUBG Esports.
Well, you say that, but the owner likes PUBG Esports because he wants TPP. But that's what I don't understand, why they don't just.
I do get a little bit of that logic of the TPP, because what has been come out is from our side is that we watch it in TPP, we're behind the people. I get that, but they're not.
It's so boring.
I was like the play, the play's very
Finish,
different. The play's very different. It's not first person. All good, all done. Yeah. Thank you very good.
Have you pressed stop on it?
No, don't touch him.
We just finished.
How'd it go?
Yeah, good. It was waffle, just waffled away. That's the plan. I was just talking about we could have done things better and worse, but you'll hear that on the recording. Are you going to send my details over to your video editor?